there, welcome to the Teeny Tinkers channel. I make ball jointed doll and craft related content. Today's video is definitely a craft. So I do this thing where wherever I want to buy a new doll, and not necessarily a BJD, but an art doll or a plushie or something, and I know I don't want to spend the money right now, I tend to look at what I've got on hand and try and make myself one. Doing this has resulted in me having about 30 random art dolls that I've made sitting around my doll room. Usually they're pretty small, usually about 15 centimeters. So I wanted to make something a little bigger today. So this is kind of based on the Kevins. If you have seen my video about making the Kevins, they are cloth-bodied, clay-headed art dolls that I made with polymer clay. So I kind of wanted to apply the same thing this time, but a little bigger, and I wanted to add some beads as joints this time because I thought it might make the limbs hold a little better, and it might be a better way to attach them where I wasn't relying on sewing them into the cloth body. So I went ahead and I made the body, and it's basically just a teddy bear body. I did not use a pattern, I just kind of eyeball it. It worked, I guess, so that's always good. Looking back at it, I wish I'd kind of done the pink fabric instead of the blue, because I did end up wanting to do them in pink. So no harm, no foul though, because this all gets covered up with clothes later. I have to say though, there's something really relaxing, calming, and endearing about the doll you've made yourself. I can be really critical of dolls that I've made personally. All I see is imperfections in them, but it's weird because I also really love them, and I have a hard time parting with them, even if they're not very good. I just love them so much. So here we have the body, and you can see how I sewed the beads onto the end, and they kind of serve as joints. Yeah, he's a lot floppier now. Once I put the clay on him, he'll weigh down. So for the eyes, I bought some of these glass cabochons. I don't know how to say that word, but these little glass things where they're flat on one side. And I used some oil-based paint to paint black on one side and add some varnish to seal it in once it was dry. This worked pretty well, but in the future, I would probably just use printed paper and glue it in. I feel like you would have a more consistent result that way. Okay, so this is how I sculpted the head and the body. I use a foil base in the middle. I usually would use polymer clay for this, but the stuff I ordered from Amazon came intensely dry and completely crumbly and unusable. So no polymer clay this time. I just had some cheap air dry clay on hand. This wasn't great. It cracked. It is not the strongest thing. I wouldn't use this again in the future, but I really wanted to make this project, and I just went ahead with it. See how cute those glass eyes look? I'm definitely going to be doing this with other art dolls in the future because I just really love the look it gives them. And of course I am doing a kitty cat because I love kitty cats. I have 3 and I love dolls of kitty cats, so yeah, couldn't help myself. Another thing I really love about making art dolls is it gives me a really good chance to experiment and try new things. I had never worked with this type of air dry clay before. I had never painted it with house paint. Yes, I used wall paint on her. I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm supposed to do that, but it works. So, and I've never tried this kind of bead joint system. So, I mean, it's all a great way to kind of get to know your style and experiment. I mean, if I hadn't experimented, I would have never made my ball jointed dolls. I would have never made my Kevins. I would have never done a lot of the things I did. So sometimes it's just not about being perfect and getting a marketable end result. It's about doing it for you, and it's about having fun, and it's about learning and trying new things. So yeah, all that to say, don't be afraid to try doing new things. Even if you're not doing it perfectly, it's a lot of fun. I also use pastels and blushed the face and the feet with a darker pink just to give it a little more detail and dimension. Also, I just really like the look of the ombre, the two-tone pink. Alright, once everything is dry, I just sew the beads onto like the holes, so I'm just creating the joint. In the future, I would probably use an armature instead, just because the cloth body didn't hold the weight of the head very well. If I had used the polymer clay, this wouldn't have been a problem, but because I used an air dry stone clay, it did end up being a lot heavier than anticipated. Alright, this baby just needs some clothes. I found a Glitter Girls pair of leggings and an older sweater I had knit that fit him really well. And I think he turned out really cute. So I don't have a name for this little bun yet. I feel like he's definitely a boy despite all the pastels. He's just a sweet little baby. I just love him so much. And he's definitely going to live on my doll shelf for a while. If you've ever made an art doll, let me know down below in the comments. I'd love to hear about them. If you're already subscribed to my channel, thanks so much for subscribing. If you're new here, I hope you like the content and will consider subscribing. I'd really love to hit 2,000 by the end of the year. I'm not sure if that's realistic, but it would be a lot of fun and very cool. Alright, well, as always, I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye!